welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen. I am new here to the Booktube community. This is why I'm going to go ahead and do the newbie Booktuber tag, so maybe you can get to know me a little bit better. You can comment down below. I can get to know you a little bit better. I love making a lot of new friends. I love talking anything bookish. So definitely like, subscribe, stick around. I've already posted a few videos that you can go back and watch. Some of them have my TBR, some of them have some unboxings that I've done, even some favorite indie authors that I have. So definitely subscribe, stick around, comment below. Let's be friends. Let's talk a lot of things books, okay? The first question on here is, why did I start this channel? So that is something that I've even been asking myself recently too, because I am so nervous. I'm sure you can tell by the way that I'm talking. I'll be very honest with you on that. I am so used to being behind the scenes, especially like on Instagram. I run a indie author services. It's called Enchanted Rose Services, and I usually help indie authors get ARC teams, get more, reviews, from reviewers, kind of put their book out there, get some book tours going. So a lot of things behind the scene, nothing really, like video wise or in your face talking. So this is definitely out of my comfort zone, but I wanted to make a channel because I love everything books. I mean, just like you, this is why you're on my channel. So I love talking about them. I don't have a whole lot of friends here that I hang out with that read, honestly. And whenever I do try to talk books to them, they look at me like a deer in headlights. They get bored very quickly. So I wanted to make this channel. I wanted to have this outlet where I can share, all of the good things that I find in books, all of the bad things, because let's be honest, we all don't like every single book we read, and that's okay. It's okay to not like every book, but I wanted to have this outlet, to kind of just get it all out there, talk to you, make new friends, be part of this wonderful community that is out there. So what are some fun and unique things that I can bring to Booktube? So I'm still developing, kind of my channel, figuring out myself, like what I want to do. Do I want to do vlogs? Do I want to do just reviews? Do I want to do my TBR? Kind of how do I want to do things? So it's going to be changing and adjusting as we go. But I think what I can bring here is just, my love for books. I mean, that's really all that I can say. My extreme, empathy for, the books and making new friends. That's really kind of what I want. And to make it original, I want to make it fun. I want to show you a little bit about me and how I read books and how I absorb them and how they move me, because we've all had those books where you read them and they just move you. And so I just want to bring that, to my channel as well, just as originally as I can. Nothing too out there, but I think my taste in books might vary from a lot of the booktubers on here, because I don't read a lot of the new hyped releases. I do read them, but I also love indie authors, the books that you find that maybe only has like 20 views on Amazon, and it's a gem. It's a hidden gem, and people need to hear about it. So I think for my love with indie authors, I can bring that to the Booktube community. What am I most excited for about this channel? To be honest with you, making new friends and building my book community, because I want people that I can talk to. DM me on Instagram. Let's talk about any of the books that you like that are coming up that I'm excited about. Let's just talk about a lot of things. That's what I'm most excited about, is just having that circle of friends that's ever growing, that I can just nerd out with, just talk about books, rant about it for, 20 minutes, So that's what I'm most excited for. Why do I love reading? Probably because it allows you to escape reality. I work 2 jobs. I run my author services on the side. I want to escape. I don't want to sit here and think about, what all do I need to do? What all do I have left to do? What's my checklist? What do I got to do tomorrow? running errands, doing this. I want to escape. And whenever I get to sit down and read my book, I can be taken to a whole different world. I can go to an alien planet. I can just get lost in those characters. And that's why I love reading. So what book or series got me into reading? So I'll talk about this later on another question, but I'll kind of, talk about it a little bit here. But whenever I was younger, they had what's called the Book It program. And if you read X amount of books, you got a free personal pan pizza. So I used to grab anything, comics, graphic novels, books. I would read them, but I wouldn't actually read them, if that makes sense. Like, I would read them, absorb what I could, get the knowledge, out of there so I could get my free personal pan pizza. But the book that got me into it, I was in high school. I don't remember if it was my sophomore or junior year, but there was a book that was called Don't Die My Love by Lurleen McDaniel. And I checked it out. I read it because I was like, I'm going to get me a free personal pan pizza. And it stuck with me. It devoured me. I loved it. It was so heartbreaking, but yet so beautiful at the same time. And for some reason, at that moment in my life, I was like, wow, I need to read more of these. And so I read more by Lurleen McDaniel. And then I started branching out and I read, different books. And, there was a book called Tears of a Tiger that we read in one of my English classes in high school. And so that really got me into reading. And then it just kept going on. I was like, I want more. And here I am. I just devour books all the time. So that really got me into reading, was that one specific book. I don't know if it was a specific time in my life when I read it. I don't know if it was just the story, but it really grabbed a hold of my soul and just ran away with it, is what it did. What questions would I ask my favorite booktuber? So I have quite a few that I absolutely love. I love Becca and the Books. I do love Peace Love Books, just from there. I love honest fiction. There's quite a few booktubers that I absolutely love that I watch religiously. They post a video, I'm there, I'm watching it almost the minute that it's uploaded. But I think what I would ask them is, how do they stay creative? How do they keep producing videos that I love? I mean, I would just love to know that, because it seems like every time they post a new video, I'm watching it, I'm getting a new recommendation. My TBR has been ever growing since, but they make it fun. And, I hope I can eventually bring that, to the table. What challenges do I think will be the hardest to overcome? Me just talking to you. That is going to be the hardest thing to overcome, because like I said, I'm used to being behind the scenes. I'm not used to just being out here talking, about books, because I don't have a lot of that in my life. My poor husband has to listen to me rant and rave about good books, books that I love, books that I hate. He is not a reader at all. And so, I think that's going to be the hardest thing, is just getting over my fear of, just talking to everybody. But I think that is slowly going down the longer I do this. So, hopefully my videos are a lot better later on, whenever I can be way more myself. But I am getting there. So I think that's going to be the hardest thing. When did I start reading? So that is, kind of back to the earlier question of what book got me into reading. So I started reading, of course, whenever I was, oh goodness, maybe like 3rd, 4th grade, 5th grade, religiously, not just like for school or, maybe like right before bed or something, like a children's book, but actual books, like that I would read consistently. It was probably 3rd or 4th grade whenever I started getting into the Book It program. And I first originally got into it all because, I was a kid, I wanted pizza. My parents wouldn't buy me pizza all the time, so I had to read books to get a free pizza. Thankfully, I you know, I found some books that I liked along the way, but nothing that just grabbed me like it did in high school. And that could just be because of the time. I may have been going through something that the book really stood out to me, but I really started whenever I was like in 3rd or 4th grade, you know, for very selfish reasons, but I did. Where do I read? So in my room here, I have, it's like a spare room here in our apartment that I can close the door. I can escape from everything. There's a lot of times that I will go out into the living room. My husband and I are video gamers. And if I want to take a step away from gaming, I will go out into the living room where he's gaming and I'll just read a book just to kind of spend some time with him, you know, so I'm not like always isolated in my room here. But I also listen to audiobooks. So whenever I'm driving, I'm listening to them. If I'm working around the apartment or cleaning, I have my headphones in listening to them. So I'm constantly, you know, reading a book, listening to a book, something like that. What kind of books do I like to read? So that is still even changing too, because years ago, I used to love contemporary romance. Loved them. Then probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I, you know, started reading some more like fantasy. Then I found A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I'm sure you can tell that I have these two right here. There's 2 shelves that are Sarah J. Maas related because I found A Court of Thorns and Roses. And like a lot of people that love fantasy romance, I got sucked in. I loved it. I did like the fantasy elements because I've always loved, you know, fantasy type movies, fantasy type TV shows. So whenever I started reading those, I really loved them as well. But fantasy romance took me by the hand at that point. So fantasy romance is one of the big ones. I still read a little bit of contemporary romance, but not a whole lot. It just doesn't draw my attention as much. I read a lot of paranormal romance. I will read a lot of very, very dark romances, which a lot of times tend to be contemporary, but they're very, very dark. And so, you know, I always have to, you know, kind of keep away from it a little bit, because if I read too many dark romances in a row, I get into like a funk, if you will, where I just like get sad, I get depressed, I get moody, I get angry. So, you know, I can read one of those and then I got to read a lot of like other like lighthearted books. So that's kind of my genre, the fantasy romance, paranormal romance, and dark romances. And then lastly, you know, what does your book collection look like? This is probably a good chunk of them. I still have, you know, quite a few books to put up. I just haven't. We recently moved. But I do have a lot of my books here. And then if I move you a little bit, you can see that I have some collectibles up at the top. I do have some plushies, you know, different things like that. So it just kind of gives you a broad spectrum of what I like. And yes, I love Twilight. Maybe not like, you know, not like I did whenever I was younger, but it's always going to hold a special place in my heart, okay? So, definitely, you know, like I said, leave me some comments, like and subscribe. Let's, you know, kind of geek out together. Let's talk books. I've really enjoyed getting on here, introducing myself a little bit. I hope to see you guys around. I usually post on Tuesdays and Saturdays, but my schedule may change depending on how my second job sets up. So we will see how that goes. But again, I am so glad you came back, and I will see you next time. Bye!